Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here today. And as always, jacked up and just energized to have our good buddy, Merrill Chandler from Credit Sense and Funding Hackers join us here. Not only are they a great guest on a regular basis, also a great sponsor of the podcast, and we're always honored to have him on. And we had Merrill on this weekend for our virtual note buying workshop that we had. Great content, great stuff. You can check out the replay of that. You'll be able to see that on a couple different places that we posted on our YouTube channel. So definitely go check it out at weclosenotes.youtube, or sorry, youtube.com/weclosenotes. But one of the things that we wanted to talk about is today, Merrill, you're in the final phases of your editing your book and getting that all up there.
I finished two chapters, and it's been written for months, right? It's just getting in there. I'm telling you, there are some things that are going on there where I fly fast and loose, right? I mean, because there's so much to say and so much to talk about. But this has given me an opportunity to literally document every little jot and tittle, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, making sure I've actually made some new discoveries as a result of research that I did to make sure that every word that is in that book is the absolute just most recent technology that support underwriting and FICO models and all that stuff. It's not dry whatsoever. I mean, holy hell, this stuff is so much fun because you just kind of get to look behind the curtain, right? So, but I didn't know editing was going to take so long. This weekend I edited only 2 chapters. That sounds pathetic, but man, it's footnoted, and it is, I mean, we're giving people a chance to go and follow a link in the chapter so they can download, like, not the 40 characteristics of FICO measures, the 150 future ones that are coming down the pipe, right? So yeah, I just hijacked the whole conversation.
I love it because that's what it was one of the things I wanted to talk about. How you mentioned there's 100 characteristics on the workshop that FICO and credit's looking at. They only look at 40, but you're already in the process of
optimizing.
I won't say hacking the system, but
yeah. Well, they're just insider secrets, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And these are, and what's amazing is FICO uses plus or minus depending on the credit bureau. I always call it the FICO 40. FICO doesn't call it that, but because some use 38, some use 43. There's 40-ish plus or minus characteristics that are currently used in the current version of FICO scoring models, right? But that 40 is a subcategory of 150. Now, FICO has published 150, a list of 150. You know that they've already run those models against the hundreds of millions of financial transactions and to make sure that they work, right? That they're predictive. But you can't bring Chase Bank with 30,000 FICO-held computer terminals. You can't get all that stuff to change overnight because the FICO scoring system fits within underwriting systems. Well, lender underwriting systems are the ones that approve. So they've got a long game. The cool thing is we're already optimizing for our clients for those future models. Because I know the list, so I know how to, they track if somebody goes and gets a check advance inquiry, that's a thing. That has a negative effect on your funding. That inquiry itself counts more against you than an auto inquiry or credit card or otherwise. So I'm just excited that we're already modeling the 150. And that's going to be included in our app, the effable app, where people can download and they're going to be optimizing. In fact, next Monday, I start my black box, Scott. That's the 4 days with the architects and the designers and everything to start building our fundable application.
It's almost like credit Tinder. Swipe left to get funded.
Right? Find out. Yeah, interview. You're actually, that's a great, you're so funny because that's a great way to say, like, lender 1, swipe right, so, swipe left. Which lender do you want to be able to work with? Because every time you swipe the lender, it gives you their rate, terms, and everything, and that fit your fundability model.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's amazing.
It's almost it's funding speed dating.
Funding speed dating. All right, I'm writing these down. You're
speed
always
funding. It says speed dating, speed funding.
speed. Yeah, not speed dating with the X through it, right? Speed funding, speed dating model. You are amazing.
I already have an image of like 5 guys in a tie sitting there with like bank A, bank B, and some chick just sitting there in the middle, going from one to another.
Funding Tinder.
Or vice versa. I don't mean that in a bad thing, but
yeah, no, but that would be a great like 30-second commercial, right?
Yeah.
Somebody sits down, what do you have to offer me? Here's my profile, here's my thing. Download the app, right? That would be like, find hey, this is who qualifies. Or like a job fair. It's like, I'm
funding fair.
A funding fair. I am this fundable. Who's got me? Give me offers. I am this fundable, right?
It's kind of like that commercial about getting approved. What was it? Rocket Mortgage, about getting approved in your underwear with the puppeteer back a couple years ago, which was a great ad.
Yeah.
But we've got all these great ideas and things like that. One of the things that I think you probably hear this, because I know I heard it from when I was sitting through your the Funding Hackers workshop a couple months ago, and I pop in on the private Facebook group as well, and I talk to students that are signing up for it. A lot of them overthink the fact of what it takes to kind of figure out where you're at. I think a lot of us are intimidated about our past, our wild, crazy nights with our first credit card in college and how that haunts us. Our foreclosures or short sales that happened a decade ago.
Yeah.
Divorces, stupid things that happen, that missed utility bill that haunts us that we've moved 3 or 4 times on. Everybody has a tendency to overthink it, and it's not really that difficult. That's why you've really worked to make take the thought out of the no nonsense of getting signed up for your Funding Hackers Bootcamp at basically as little as $97 to do that. So one of the things, why don't we talk a little about some of the homework that people have to do prior to that event, and how easy it is to kind of get to gauge and see where you're at. Huh?
Yeah, it's super easy. First of all, let's say you sign up for any one of the packages. The second on the receipt itself comes a link to what we call our event planning page. And it tells you these are the things you need to do. Now, the other thing is we also have 29 little tips and techniques. If you haven't registered, we're going to remind you to register. And if you have registered, it's going to say, be sure to make a note to look forward to this section. They're 1, 2, 3 minute little videos where I talk about different subjects. So I will get you ramped up. If you register, I will get you prepared. But follow that link to the event landing page, and there is a video there from me that says, welcome to the event landing page. Here's what you need to do. There's 2 pieces of homework or prep work to get you ready. 1, order your MyFICO credit report. MyFICO credit report is the only one we use. We don't use. You're in the boot camp. You're going to learn why Credit Karma is full of shite. You're going to learn about FICO scores and why they're not relevant to lenders, lending decisions. And so order myfico.com, and we tell them to get the advanced. It's a subscription. It costs like $29 a month. And if you're going to become a coaching client, we want you to keep it, because that's how we monitor our progress on all 28 FICO scores. Yes, there are 28. But if you don't, if you just attend the bootcamp, you just cancel any time from that. But we want to have real data. We want the truth of your situation as measured by FICO, because FICO, of course, is what's going to is the algorithm set, the lending software that's going to approve you, right? Then the next one is, then we want you to take that MyFICO, and then you download a simple worksheet. Now, the worksheet asks questions about your MyFICO report. So you're taking, there's probably, 12, 13 data points. Like it says, what's the range between your highest and lowest score, right? What's the difference between your highest score? Oh, it's 17 points. Fill in the blank. It asks you, what is your middle score? You fill in that blank. You just use your MyFICO report, fill out and there's a tutorial. It literally says, oh, you want to see a tutorial of how to fill this out, where to find your information? It's all right there. And then the last one is, we want to, so you fill out that, because you need to bring that, because we're going to use that in the boot camp itself. And then finally, we want to know, it's called an entity audit. Some people have 13 entities that they've collected over time, right? Some have none. We just want to know so that we can help you decide what a fundable entity is. Your funding success comes from knowing, having a qualified personal profile that's optimized for business lending, and having a fundable entity. So those are the only two pieces of, and they're the only two worksheets you need. So you need your My FICO credit report, but those two worksheets completed, you're done. You're ready for the boot camp. And they come in, when you download them, there's an Excel version, there's a Macintosh numbers version, and there's a PDF if you're old school and you want to print it out and write it down. All of those are available in the download, and easy peasy. That's all it takes to be ready.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. And then you're walking through people with a scoring system on the day of the event and going from there. And as you've mentioned, some people were like, oh my gosh, I've got a D versus a C or a B. And you've taken people from the Fs
yep.
with scores.
Yes.
Because there's a thing there. You, if I remember correctly, I don't have it pulled up here, you're taking, okay, what's your percentage of credit card debt and things like that? You know, how much are you ranked? You don't want to be above, what, 40%, if I remember correctly, 25 to 40% of your...
38% is what you... 38 is the new 100, right? So we don't want to, because we don't want you to be in the risk department. But all of the things that you're referring to, Scott, are how do we synthesize the information to find out how fundable you are? And we call it the fundability index. It's a worksheet that we actually do together in the workshop so that you walk away, and then we actually give everybody a chance to apply for a free, I mean, if you want to spend time with me, that's what the $497 ticket is, right? But the 97 and the 197, all you have to do is fill out a simple application to get a free, a free fundability strategy session, right? It's just that we want to make sure there's an application process, because we want to make sure that you're in a position to implement the strategies and suggestions, or take advantage of the coaching, whatever it is, right? If you're 18 years old, you just got your parent, you're there at the fundability boot camp all by yourself, a strategy session may not serve you, because there's some things you'll learn in the boot camp you need to do first before we do the advanced strategy. So that's why we have an application.
Right. And it's a simple application. So many people come to workshops and they get excited about Monday and putting strategy sessions together. And one of the things that we talked about on Sunday with everybody before we wrapped up, we always give them a top 10, top 15. Like, we'll say, okay, here are the top 10 things I think everybody needs to do to roll into the next week, to roll in the next 30 days to get things rock and rolling. And we've been adding the Funding Hackers Bootcamp to that, because that's a very critical part. If you start with the end in mind,
yep,
you got to realize we got 106 days till Christmas, roughly, as we're recording this. People like to wait, New Year's resolutions to start in 2020, start in the new year. Well, now you don't do that. If you wait to do that, you're going to be behind the 8 ball again with the holidays and New Year's, whereas your next workshop, the end of September,
right,
gives everybody the opportunity to, okay, here's kind of learn, shake the rust off you a little bit. If you want to do big things in the next year, to set yourself aside, so when we do have a recession, when things do hit the tank, you've got the things in place to get those lines of credit to be able to capitalize on the assets, the notes, the real estate available, right?
Yeah, here's the thing. Most credit lines are prime plus, right? And somewhere the lines we're getting for clients are prime plus one. We had one, to be fair, we had one that was prime plus a half. Most are between 1% and 2.5% over prime, right? But still the best money in town. So recession, no. When you're approved for a line and you follow the instructions and you use these credit lines the way that protects lenders' interest, they're not going to, even in a recession, they won't close or lower your limit because you're a safe borrower. You're a professional borrower. You're implementing the things we talk about at the boot camp so that you can become a professional borrower rather than a rookie, rather than an amateur, right? And so that is you will learn in the boot camp how to recession-proof even your credit lines, right? And it's the cheapest money available. So how many of us took advantage of 2008, 2009, 2010? Man, that was the greatest transfer of wealth in the last century and a half, right? So how do we take advantage even of a little blip? How do we need to be in play as soon as possible so that we're ready to start capitalizing on these notes, right? Take advantage of people's, I don't want to say take advantage. We want to be able to support. How many of you note buyers out there are literally the saving grace from a foreclosure or somebody else, because you guys are picking up the ball that the big institutions can't carry anymore. They're like, this is too much of a hassle. Foreclose on them. It's too expensive. What do we do now? Oh, let's sell the note at a discount. And then you guys actually have hearts. Bless their little black coal of a heart. But Chase is looking at the 1,000-foot view, right? The next quarterly profits. You guys, note buyers, real estate investors, you guys actually can work out new deals before the foreclosure. If the foreclosure is inevitable, then you take your windfalls and get to play at a higher level, right? But a recession is going to put money in somebody's pocket. You got to have the resources and the instruments to be able to take down more and more of these credit lines to take down more and more of these instruments.
Yeah, that's the thing is there's so many different opportunities. It doesn't have to be in notes. It doesn't have to be in buying, fixing properties. Honestly, as we had our buddy Joel Block from Bullseye Capital come on our Note Camp commercial thing a couple weeks ago. Corey Peterson from Big Kahuna Investments. Both of those guys issued a statement very similar. The money is in the money. All right? The money is in the money. Not only just collecting it, but leveraging the money to go out and make something happen. I mean, that's how the banks are leveraging money. They're taking deposits, checking accounts, giving off a 0.01 or 0.1% return on investment, and then leveraging it out at prime +2, prime +3, which you then can turn around and leverage out. If you're paying 6% on your money and you're lending it at 12% for either a short-term loan, a hard money loan at 18%, if you're getting the money at 6 and you're lending it at 12, it's not a 6% return. It's a 100% return on your money, right? Merrill, you're laughing there, but you're right.
No, because the thing is, that's what we talk about both in my web class or in the class that I gave yesterday. I talk about it in the cost of being unfundable versus leveraging a fundable profile, right? And somebody, the whole point of getting a mortgage, buying a car, having a credit card is not playing the funding game. Playing the funding game is doing what banks are doing. They lend at a profit. They borrow money cheap from the Fed and turn it on and arbitrage it and make a profit. So I know I'm successful. I love preaching the gospel of fundability, profitable or not. I love that my money can make more money than I can. That's playing the funding game. So whether the money it's in the returns on a note, the return on the ROI on a flip, or lending money at interest, making money on your money is the name of the game. So that's why we're all about making fundable borrowers, because that way you can turn and burn. Now, I don't know if I'm putting the gun in the hand of a 2-year-old, because I can help you get the capital, but I guess, yeah, Scott, you're in Texas. Yeah, you're in Texas, so they, you guys have concealed carries at preschool, but in Utah, I don't know what you're going to do with the money that we can get you together. Okay, but I'm telling you, being fundable means getting the lowest possible cost on whatever the money is that's available from top tier banks that have, of course, the cheapest rates.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's one of the things people think, oh, lines of credit to do this stuff. Here's a question for you. If you were to take a look at the $100 million in lines of credit that you've helped your clients with, because that was a number that really stood out to me on your presentation, how many people you've helped out, what would you say the average a credit card line of credit or line of credit from a bank starts off? Is it 25, 50, 100? What's the average amount?
All right. So there's a standard deviation because I am that guy. I'm the nerd. So two things first. First of all, what we probably have, and it's 96 million. So thank you for rounding up. I want to be at 100 million by the time, by the end of the month, if not next month. But 96 million in client fundings, guys. But where this comes from, common as in over 50% is $20,000 to $30,000 first round per bank. So the first initial, if you're running 2 banks or 3 banks, you're somewhere around the $80,000 to $120,000 mark out of the gate first round of funding. 20 to 30 on each one. Then that's over 50%. So let's say there's 50% left. The next 50%, the 50% of the 50%, 25% is probably in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $50,000. So the other 25% are more inexperienced borrowers, people who have less, and they're picking up the 10s to the 20s. So I would say that it's 50 on 25%, 30s, the 20s to 30s in the 50%, and then and then the 5s, 10s, and 20s on that final 25%. Breaking it down that way, that would be a fair representation. But again, those are per line. We usually assist in the minimum of 3 lines at a time, and 2 additional lines per quarter. So that's how we reach ultimately 10. Now, if let's say in 12 months you've picked up 10 30s, you're sitting on 300 grand, which is not technically accurate because the earlier first ones you got are already raising their limits. So, but within 6 to 12 months, you can have 7 to 10 lines if you're following the funding formula. Okay, and that's 300 grand, 200, 300 grand. What can you do with 300 grand, right? What can you do?
And that's what I wanted to get at, is there's a couple things to do as a note investor, a real estate investor, thinking about 300 grand, lending that out. Okay. If you had that lent out at 6% or double what you did, that would be, drum roll, 6% on 300 grand is 18 grand. All right. 18 grand coming in, but you're lending out and making 18, or let's just say 12%, making 1% a month. You've got roughly $36,000 coming in off of that.
Yep.
That's double. Okay. That's 18 grand right there. It's $1,500 a month in profit coming in off of that, if not more. Because if I was a hard money lender, a private lender, I'm going to be charging some fees, some processing fees, or some points.
There's points up front too.
So that's almost, you start figuring in points and timetable and stuff like that. That's almost, it could very easily come to a $50,000 a year income off of it.
Yeah. And that's the first 300 grand, not the second or the third 300 grand. Right. Yep. And so that's just the use of the money. I personally, I have a trusted, now he's a friend, a trusted hard money lender. Every dime I go out as part of my optimization plan, I pick up every 6 months a different, because I then retire them, but I pick up anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000 in business or personal, depending on what my optimization plan needs to be. Because I do everything, guys. I do everything by the book, by the optimization book that I've invented and we've proven. I do it myself. And each time I pick up a new line, I invest that line in hard money. So I don't even have to do any of the work. I don't even have to manage those things. And I pay the fees. I pay my monthly payments, guys, out of my cash flow, out of my personal income, not with the money derived from. So I just force myself to make my payments and pay off that loan while all the principal and the aggregating interest stay in the fund. So when my definition of success, financial success, is when my money can make more money than I can.
Mm-hmm. And that's an easy way then to be funding self-directed IRAs, your HSA, your ESA, if you have kids, your SEPs, those are the great ways to put money away that's then either growing interest or tax-free or tax-deferred.
Yeah. And we won't even get into that. My fundability application that we're being designed is actually owned by an organization, my Roth IRA. So I'm investing now in a corporation that is going to yield all of that in a tax-free environment, right? So everything Scott is telling you is doable. It takes a little bit of time, right? The model I used last night was, let's say you're just a slowpoke. Let's say that you're just, you just 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, right? But in the $1 million funding formula, if you're implementing with numerous banks at $50,000 to $100,000 per bank, what happens if you acquire just another $200,000 per year? Let's say it takes a whole year to get $100,000, right? You're just not implementing well. You're just slow off the mark. You don't do everything as fast as you want to, but you keep moving forward, right? Tortoise and the hare. Well, when the tortoise crosses the finish line, every single year that you pick up another 200,000, you're at $1 million in 5 years, guys. These are accumulated lines, right? You don't have to turn one in, close one down to pick up the next one. So a 200 a year, that's $1 million freaking dollars over the course of 5 years if I take the slow boat instead of the U-2 fighter across the Pacific, right? So
5 years from now, your life could be totally changed. All right. And as my buddy Greg Reed is often first saying, in 5 years, you're going to be the same person except for A, the people you meet, and B, the books that you read. And the reason I bring that up is you could be a whole different person, a whole different animal of your business with just the people you surround yourselves with, like the folks there with Merrill, or the book, Are You Effable, that he's been editing and coming out with. It's literally the fundable Bible. And I just had another idea. I don't know what religion you were, Merrill, but we need to find a priest and take your head and put on the priest and have you holding the Bible, holding your book up.
There you go. Priest holding the fundability Bible. Well, it is without waxing too absurd, it is the Bible of this movement, right? My objective is to reconcile borrowers and lenders, get the distrust out of the way, get the animosity out of the way, and create a relationship where borrowers are just know exactly what needs to be done to make a lender feel safe in giving them money. Doesn't that make sense? It's like, oh yeah, so you want me to treat you in a way you feel safe to give me all the goodies. That's on me, not on the lenders, guys. That's on me, the borrower, to make the lender feel safe to give me money. So I'm all in. That's why Are You Effable is, the ad, we're doing a huge ad campaign for any of you Think Realty folks out there who go to those, a 2-page ad is coming out in October, November. And here's the language so far. Tell me what you think. It says, how do we fix a system where lenders lock away the rules of funding and only care about the answer to one question? And then on the other side, it says, are you effable?
I like it. I like it a lot.
We're now working on who should, the icon that's over on the ad. It was kind of like a guy standing there, but with a gun to his head. We don't know. I think Realty will pass muster on that one. but you know me, I'm all in. So, but that's, how do you fix the system where the lenders are hiding or withholding the rules of the funding game, but the only one question matters: are you effable?
Yeah, but that's the thing. The world these days, I hate to say it, is gamed for the small guy not to win, and because they're playing by rules you don't know.
Yeah,
you're playing a game that you don't know the rules to, or you're being told false rules, or you're being
misled.
Scores like we've talked about with all this ad taking place. Oh yeah, you do this, and oh hey, you're approved, or hey, I mean, you look at the commercials from everything throughout this weekend. I was making a joke about. There's food every commercial break, or there's the new car, or the leasing options, or all this other stuff that are just inundated into our brains. You have to. Most people don't know otherwise any difference. We live in such a financially uneducated society.
Yeah.
You think you're doing something right, and you're actually hurting yourself without knowing.
Yeah, and that's so many. I call those, funding landmines, right? We're just kind of walking through. We're just walking through the landscape and have no clue that we're gonna blow our shit up. So
you need your own personal minesweeper.
Yes, I am your minesweeper.
Hang on a second. Now there's another idea here. I grew up in Ingleside, Texas. And Ingleside, down by Corpus Christi, a little small town. There's probably about 10,000 people there now. It's 3,500 when my parents moved there back in 1990, if I remember correctly, when I was fourth grade. 1980 something, 86.
You're a youngster.
I know. Born in 77. All right. What was funny is that Naval Station Ingleside, we got a naval station there, was all about the Navy's minesweepers. Going out there in front of the big ships and finding the mines and things like that. That's what we should do. I should go find a minesweeper image and put the USS Effable.
Minesweeper USS Effable.
And put Captain Merrill at the helm.
That's awesome. You're the best.
Either the Red Bull or the coffee's kicking in with the brain, thinking of marketing today for you there, brother.
No, thank you so much. Well, I love being on your podcast. I love talking to your listeners, your people. They're intelligent, capable. Our mutual clients they're just the best people in the world. So
that's the biggest thing, is you always try to surround yourself with good people. If you surround yourself with good people and you give people the nuggets of knowledge, the stuff, the cream rise to the top, and really makes things happen. That doesn't go to say things don't happen. God knows we all have things, and as I make the joke, a big S sandwich that sometimes you got to take a bite out of and go through. But you learn and get rock and rolling. And one of the things I want with this episode, because we just had Aaron Young on from Laughlin Associates on earlier, talking about planning for the next year. I make the joke that 2020 is going to be the year of hindsight, or hopefully foresight, okay? Because 2020 is always good. But it only works if you're taking action between now and December 31st or before that. Waiting until December 31st is waiting too late, is waiting to fail. You have to take the time. You got to take the hacks. You got to swing for the fences if you can, or make the singles and doubles. And honestly, that's the way that you grow wealth. It's not you're knocking it out of the park.
It's not the windfalls, man.
It's the singles and doubles that, like what we're talking about here. Yeah, a $20,000 line of credit or a $50,000 line of credit. You're not going to get wealthy. You're not going to get rich on that overnight, but it's going to build wealth a little bit. And then that compound interest will double. So a great rule that was taught to me years ago by one of my buddies out there is called the rule of 72.
Yeah.
Okay. And what the rule of 72 says, if you take any interest rate on a given, what you're going to get on an investment, that interest rate, and divide that into the number by 72, that will give you the number of years that it'll take for your money to double. So if you're getting 6% interest on an investment, 6 into 72 means that it would take you 12 years. If you're investing 50 grand, it'd take you 12 years for that 50 grand to grow to 100 grand.
Right.
Now, if you got 12%, it takes 6 years. If you're getting 24%, it'll take 3 years for you to grow. Think about this. Think about the reverse psychology of having a 20% interest credit card. The bank is doubling their money every 3 years on you.
Yep.
if you don't. That's why you want to leverage that aspect and use those. Hey, 20 grand may not be exciting, but that could buy a nice little house in Flint, Michigan that was returning you $453 a month on a deal we broke down. It could return you by buying a condo in Lauderdale Hill, Florida, we found, where the borrower owed 60 grand that you could probably pick up for 25 that would rent for 750 to 1,000 a month.
Right.
These little base hits may not be the most exciting, but they will build wealth. And as we talk about a lot of times, knowing your numbers to get where you need to be, you know, if you really did the things and you could say goodbye to your job and be independent wealthy, and I call by wealth being able to do what the hell you want and all your bills get paid and rocking it out, where you've got 200, 300, $1 million in lines of credit from Merrill's help and his team at Funding Hackers. What's that worth to you, right?
See, to play that metaphor, the singles and the doubles in that baseball metaphor, they give us the opportunity to learn how to swing. Then we can get lucky and knock it out of the park. But if we are only trying to swing to knock it out of the park, we never get enough. We never practice enough. So it's single, 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 single. And then all of a sudden, oh, look at that. It went. Because we're practicing how to lend money. We're practicing how to flip a profitable deal. We're practicing on how to buy notes and go from performing to non-performing to performing. It's the practice, right? One of the things I teach in my podcast is practice creates competence, creates confidence, creates mastery. So it's practice, practice, practice. And those singles, we'll keep scoring, but don't mean to beat the metaphor to death. But I'm telling you, it's the practice that creates the rewards. And we swing enough times. If we're used to swinging and hitting the ball, one or two of those are going to go out of the park just by the law of averages.
Amen to that.
You know what I mean? Let's keep swinging for the singles. Let's just put it out there.
Exactly. Go out and make it happen. And one of the things I want to bring back up here is you've got your next workshop the last weekend of September, the 28th and 29th.
28th and 29th.
People can join you either.
Yep, simulcast. You'll be able to watch from your own, unless you're in Salt Lake City, you're going to be able to watch from your own, the privacy of your own underwear. Just like your guy said, or that you mentioned earlier, right? Just make money from in your underwear. Well, now I'm going to teach you how lenders want to lend to you. You just don't know what to give them to do so.
Amen to that. The best way to get signed up for that is for as little as $97. Go to fundinghackers.com.
Yep, fundinghackers.com. Click on the bootcamp button.
Get rocking and rolling there. Well, Merrill, I want to say thank you as always for joining us.
You can also pre-order the book.
Oh my gosh, we forgot all about that. Yes, you're right.
You can pre-order the book at fundinghackers.com. Click Merrill's book.
Hit pre-order, baby, because trust me, it's going to be entertaining and valuable.
Oh my, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I get to take time with stuff. We never an hour with you, even a weekend at a boot camp is not enough time. I mean, this literally is me stopping everything and going A, B, C, all the way through the funding alphabet.
There you go. Perfect. Good stuff. I love it, man. I absolutely love it, Merrill. Thank you again, as always, for being on here, brother.
Absolutely. Love it. And we will we'll check in. Oh, and we've got our little conclave at the end of the month. So I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah. We'll see you in Orlando.
Yeah, that'll be a blast.
Sounds good, brother. Be safe, man. We'll talk to you later, all righty?
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Jack. Once again, everybody, hey, check it out. If you want to, you can go over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/weekclosenotes, and actually check out the replay from Merrill's hour session at our past virtual workshop out there on YouTube. So, guys, get in the game, get to taking place. Look, singles and doubles are the best way to hit the Hall of Fame. And I think you need to be in your own Hall of Fame out there. So go out and make it happen, everybody. And we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.